Porter, I heard you had some cryptid stories for us. Was that true?
Yeah. Um, do we want to get into that now?
Let's do it.
All right, I got two beasts that are local to my area. One of in Bladen County and Brunswick County. Um, we got the Beast of Bladenboro, which apparently is, as most described it, a black panther, which is unusual for the area. But what's weird about it, I guess the why it would be considered a cryptid, is that the way it ends up killing um, animals. And this was back in the 1950s, and it really hasn't been seen since. Um, but apparently, it had ended up killing several dogs over the course of several days. And what was weird about the deaths of the dogs was that the heads would be crushed with a lot of blood, almost where the dogs had been exsanguinated, where there were, even they had a autopsy done on one of the dogs, and it was only had like a few drops of blood left in the body. And then there was another farmer had reported that um, I think some goats and a pet rabbit had been the pet rabbit had been found decapitated, and a goat had also died with its head flattened. Um, but as far as that, the most of the descriptions of it was like about 5 foot long, sleek, sometimes bushy, and always like a black, and had a weird sound that it would make similar to like a um, crying baby.
So like a predator cat that sounds like a crying baby and crushes skulls. It sounds horrible, man.
Yeah, and drains the its victims of its blood.
Now, I don't know about the other aspects, but the sounding like a crying baby is interesting because I don't know if you've ever heard a cougar scream before, um, but that's how they sound. Um, I've had a encounter or two with a cougar up in the mountains, um, as well as just listening to them on various videos because I was trying to figure out like what is that god awful noise. And bobcats make the same or a similar sound. That is true. Um, but maybe there's something to go off of with that.
I remember feeling like I was being watched because I probably was in the haulers there. We've got bears up here, but that's it, man. It did feel. It almost felt like a predator, like you're describing, like almost like a feline presence or something.
Well, what's interesting, you guys mentioned that that is technically the official explanation. Um, so this happened back in the 50s, right, Porter?
Yeah, back in the 50s. I think the first report of it was in 53, and then there was I think the last report of it that I could find was in 54.
Yeah. So supposedly, the thought behind it was a bobcat in the area, and um, but there's a controversy around that. There, like the story is like rather interesting. I've read up on it, and it's been years and years ago, so I'm a little rusty on it. But I think there was a controversy in town because a lot of the townsfolk were quite freaked out by the incident because, like you were mentioning before, um, the um, the murders of the dogs were pretty gruesome, and they I think that there was like a giant manhunt as well, um, to search for this beast. But My understanding is sometime in '54, a local farmer caught the bobcat, and the mayor of the town displayed the bobcat to say, "Oh, look, we've got this." But um, and supposedly the reports of any kind of animals being murdered or whatever stopped. But I've read other things that the sheriff of the town and the mayor were trying to keep things quiet because not everybody quite believed that the beast had been caught. Um, but it's been some time since I've read up on this one.
Yeah, I was reading one of the accounts where the two of the dogs that had gotten killed, one had been found where it was blood all over his porch, big puddles of it, and a pool of saliva. That had killed the dog at 10:30 in the evening, and it had left it lying there, and he had wrapped it up in a blanket. And then the beast came back later that night about 1:30 in the morning and had killed the other dog and took it with him. And they found it days later, where the dog's head had been torn off, the body was crushed, and the jaw had also been torn off.
Yeah, I remember that there was a lot of people just thinking that there was a vampire roaming around the area. But yeah, just doing a quick search on it, it looks like they did do a manhunt, and man, this is pretty wild. They had between 500 and 800 people turn out to do a one-night hunt.
That's an army, man.
I know.
What?
Yeah, apparently the officials put the hunt to an end because there were just too many people out in the woods hunting an animal, probably with firearms. So they were like, we don't want people just shooting randomly in the woods when you got about 800 people out there.
Let's see if I can. I do have a picture. Here we go. This is the supposed bobcat that did that to the dog. Yeah, so okay, on the night of January 5th. So I mean, you think about it, in January in North Carolina, it's pretty cold. I mean, I'm talking about if this is at nighttime, it's probably in the 30s, maybe 20s. You have 500 people, and then you have a second night where 800 people can turn out. That's insane.
Wait, they were in a swamp?
800 to 1,000 people joined on the 7th. So 3 nights. Wow. I knew that this was a pretty big ordeal, but it's been some time since I've read up on this. And I remember the whole thing about the it's kind of a bad picture. It's just not that well put together, but very digitized. But yeah, definitely. Reading back up on this just very briefly, I forgot how big of an ordeal this really was.